We had just enough rain last night to wet the bottom of the rain gauge. It rained for 5 minutes and not a lot. Marty! Here you go, bud. There you go, Tux. What's you looking at, bud? Wake up. Here, over that way just a bit more so Tux can come all the way up. Here you go, buddy. I don't know what's going on with Marty. You know, whatever the other guys got's what I want. You're a good boy, Morris. Good boy. Good morning. You're doing so much better. Good boy. You know who, Stripe, is over here sleeping in his chair, being a good boy, aren't you? Hi. Here comes Ruby. It's the morning. It already feels like it ought to be Friday, and it's Wednesday. Yeah, we had another huge tree limb come down last night. This one we didn't know was going to come down. It was about a foot on the driveway. Don said he was able to drag it off enough that it's off the driveway the whole way, but it's another one big enough to have to cut up before he can carry it away. Good morning, Ruby. Ruby was a smidge stuffy this morning, so she spread her wings for a minute, let a little bit of that hot air from yesterday afternoon out. Dawn didn't have climate on this morning. Yeah, there's the limb that fell, so it looks like it's sweet gum. Don said he saw a bad spot in the limb. Like I said, it was only sticking off about a foot onto the driveway, and he was able to slide it just enough to get it all the way off until he can deal with it. And it didn't fall on anything important. Crunch, crunch. Crick, crick. Snap, snap. Would never know that after I mowed, I blew. Oh, it'll be acorn time soon. You think that was loud this morning? When it's acorn season, it's really pop, 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 pop. It was one of those mornings where we hit absolutely every stoplight. Oh, and right while it was turning red, so we had to wait the full amount of time. We're not going to get over to the school until 7:35, so Johnny's probably going to be a couple minutes late by the time he walks to class. It is what it is. It's really congested this morning too, the whole way in. Maybe I'm starting to notice some of that additional school traffic, although it wasn't bus-caused traffic. Just parents out driving, taking their kids to school. Yeah, Johnny got out of the car at 7:35. Oh well. Don said either today or tomorrow he's probably not going to be able to walk in the morning. I'm hoping tomorrow versus today, but we'll see. Whatever he needs to do, he's got to get a group of people together. That's an odd mix of people, and it's likely to be at an odd time, and it's super important. It looks like the one contract is going to have their go live date in September now. So while it's been sitting idling, kind of smoldering a little bit, it's now on fire to get things sorted out for the go live date. So he's got to do what he's got to do. I'm getting the same error trying to open a new service ticket for Ruby this morning. Super frustrating. I had hoped overnight they would fix it. Like I said, Don can't open one, and at least one other local Tesla owner can't open one. It's hanging on the choosing the address, connection error, unknown, can't find, can't sort that out. It knows the address. It figured out the address, but then when it's trying to populate the list of service centers, I guess for me, that's failing. So I don't think it's just a me problem or me and Don account problem. I think it's at least a local area problem. So I can't update the old ticket either, but there was a survey out there for the old ticket. So I filled out the survey and I gave them 5 stars because I didn't want to give them less stars. But I said that my issues were not resolved. That's one of the things. And I put in, and there was 5 things to choose from. And one of them was, I don't know, it wasn't fixed properly. And then I, you know, said, I can't open a ticket and I still need help, and the autopilot camera unavailable message is back, and you know, whatever's wrong. I tried calibrating, I reset the calibration, I tried calibrating again, it still won't calibrate, please help. So I've done what I can do for right now, short of stopping over there, which I don't have time for today. I'm picking Sam up after I pick up Johnny and taking him to do a couple of errands, and I just need my car today. So, and tomorrow's Michelle's shopping day. I said this last night, but anyway, I would love to just show up over there and plead my case that Ruby's not fixed and needs help, and I would be having trouble steering that right now. So she's drivable. I've been driving like this for months, literally. So the worst part, other than no autopilot or traffic aware cruise control, is I don't have any help with blind spot at all. She doesn't tell me things that are beside me or not. I totally have to crank my neck. And, you know, I'm looking anyway, but the car helping me look, maybe not cranking my neck quite as hard, that would be helpful. So anyway, still can't create a problem ticket. Bummer. I don't know where they're going, but there's 5 bucket trucks here in traffic. One of the bucket trucks was followed by this trailer contraption that had a wooden utility pole on it. So they must be going someplace to replace a pole. Chevy has moved the Rivian up closer to the building, but it is still there. I just saw it, and I wanted to share with you guys that when Don picked up the GMC, you know, I dropped him off and kept on going downtown because he, you know, they called him to tell him it was ready. Seemed totally safe that he'd be leaving with it, or they could drive him back to the house in their courtesy vehicle, or I could have picked him up on the way back out of town. But at any point, he went to the place where he thought he was supposed to go, and they confirmed it was the right place. And he waited 25 minutes for some guy to come along to help the 2 ladies out that were working, grab his invoice out of the file folder and walk it over to the cashier. 25 minutes he waited for them to move a piece of real paper from a file folder to the cashier. So the moral of the story is don't take Tesla's see the invoice and pay the invoice in the app without having to deal with the person for granted, because you know, Don's experience in getting it, and they were also going to charge him and not like hand it to him for his review, which was a little odd. Although maybe the ladies at the other counter where the gentleman walked up to help, maybe they would have done that. I don't know. I know at the Honda place, the service advisor was always responsible for walking up front with the invoice and handing it to the cashier and calling you to pay. So that Honda place had a very similar setup to the Chevy place at any point. So really, it seems like the invoice in the app where you can see it and paying for it in the app is definitely an improvement. So here's the place where I got the GMC Fast Loop Plus, but it's Mobile One sponsored. And you'll see that we're coming up on Guardian Angel being on the left up here. I was trying to explain to Don exactly where it was, although I think he got it when I said it's basically across the street from your dentist. We're off on our walk. So today wasn't the day that you had to stay and do a special meeting. Today wasn't the day you had to do the special meeting?
Yeah, it's not going to happen tomorrow, I guess.
Okay.
Too late today.
So JB, your brother, he left us a comment about Sunday's rant video, that the thing about the 87,000 IRS auditors or employees is not exactly what we thought it was, or what some of the media is portraying it as. And you found a fact check article in the newspaper this morning.
Yeah, it was originally printed in Bloomberg.
Okay, well, I'm no Bloomberg fan, but anyway, what did the fact check article say?
Well, it basically said that the 87,000 is not all. There's no, in the bill there was no indication of what that the 87,000, what the money is going to be used for. According to Bloomberg, it goes back to a IRS modernization report that was turned into Congress, and in that report they talk about a lot of things that they could do, and one of the things they wanted was $80 billion, which, quote, they got. And then the other thing in the report was there's like 86,000 and change, quote unquote, new hires, meaning that could be replacing people who are retiring. There's no definition of what the roles or how many of this or that will be, so it may not be auditors, it may be auditors. But Bloomberg went on to say the historical average, or they have under 400,000, basically Biden and the Democrats are saying, you know, nobody, if you're making less than 400,000, we're not going to increase the percentage of people getting audited. But what's happened is the historical average, according to that article, was something like 2.5% of the people under 400,000 get audited, and that's fallen to like 0.5% or something. I don't remember the exact number, but it's significantly lower. So with these new enforcement people, which is going to be hired over the next few years, it's not, they're not sending out.
I think JB said up to 10 years.
Yeah.
It wasn't all in 1 year or anything.
Yeah, so they're going to start ratcheting up the number of people audited below 400,000 to a more historical average. And of course, there's way more people now than 2010, which is where some of these numbers came from. So at that point, I guess what it is the actual number of audits for people making less than 400,000 are going down, even though the percentage isn't. They're not going to actually increase the percentage. They're just going to start auditing what they said they were going to do way back when. So,
yeah, so it could feel like it goes back up, even though historically it's not above where it's been at other times.
right.
I think that's what we're trying to say.
But the other premise is, if you, they had one sentence in the Bloomberg had one sentence. It said that high income people, which I assume are people over 400,000, they have resources. They use the term, they have resources.
Lawyers.
So that's not the target of this stuff. Or it's not the sole purpose of this new modernization. And remember, the goal was very clearly to increase
Revenue. Appropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I guess if the bottom line is only time will tell.
Right.
So be on the lookout the next 5 years if you hear about friends and family being audited and they'd never been audited before.
Yeah.
And then we'll really know what's up, right?
Yeah.
So Rob Maurer, Tesla Daily yesterday, he really concerned me. It was that stuff in the Inflation Reduction Bill that had to do with batteries. And it seemed to imply, but he wasn't sure, and I guess time will tell. And you speak up if I'm saying it wrong, but Donna and I watched it together, that there's compensation or incentives if you partner with somebody to build batteries. That is not exactly applicable, maybe downright not allowed to receive the incentive if you make your own batteries. And I'm only aware of one U.S. car company that both makes their own batteries and partners to make batteries. And I would be very, what's the word I want to use? Well, upset if Tesla's excluded again by the Biden administration because of their union leaning.
Yeah.
If this bill was written intentionally to try to exclude Tesla, that I would be livid, I think. Upset is just the mild.
Right. Now, Rob, be very clear, he had a follow-up video yesterday. And if you pointed out, folks, I didn't say Absolutely. He said, I am unsure. The wording is very tricky wording, and time will tell. But at this point, he's just wishful and hopeful that Tesla will get this incentive and won't be excluded. But he does not know for sure. So he said, please don't say I said they're going to be excluded, because he said that's not what I said.
Well, I don't think that's what I said either. I said, right, yeah. Rob was concerned that the wording might mean.
Yeah, well, he said a lot of people got out on Twitter saying that he said that Tesla's not going to get it, but that's not what he said. He couched it, qualified it.
I heard him say he was concerned about the wording's implications for Tesla. Yeah. That's what I heard him say.
Yeah.
Enough that I got concerned right along with him. Well, hopefully if it made it to Twitter and Elon's paying attention, maybe he can comment on it, but I suspect that they don't know either, right? I mean, they're not going to go either. But I did have a friend this morning on Facebook who may not have deserved the comment that I left for her, although it wasn't aimed at her, who was just ecstatic about the Inflation Reduction Bill and what it's going to do for battery manufacturing in our company. And apparently all these announcements came back from, you know, everyone in the world, not Tesla, but about their partnerships. You know, GM was included in the list, and how great this is for American stuff. And honestly, I think the general public doesn't even realize Tesla makes batteries. Well, a lot of people don't know that Tesla's an American-made car. I think that's still a problem of which the Biden administration hasn't done anything to fix, and has only made worse even. And then on top of that, you know, Giga Nevada, and understanding that they have a partnership with Panasonic and that they've been making batteries there for years at this point. I don't think the general American public understands that. And then somehow they think we're technology or battery production constrained. Well, it's not knowing how to make them or gearing up to make them. Look how fast Giga Austin went in, and the production capacity for batteries there. It's the raw minerals. It's the things you need to actually do the production. So I think the American public's understanding, general public, non-EV people, of, you know, what's what with this battery stuff, I think it's a little lacking. And so while that announcement could have seemed like, oh, well, now we won't be the underdog in the battery building business. Well, I got news for you. We're already not the underdog. Yeah, sure, China's building batteries too, but we're making plenty of batteries in the US. And when, you know, as they ramp up Giga Austin, we'll be making even more. And I guess if some of these other factories come online too. So we're not behind on batteries. And I think, like, the bill, my impression, opinion, not fact, is just that some people are a little confused about those details. You have anything you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, well, I think it's 100% a measure to save the legacy car people, because the way that, if it's true that Tesla isn't going to qualify for the full incentive because they don't sell their batteries, just produce batteries and sell them, they put them in their own cars, then I would say this is yet another thing that supporting the auto industry, the legacy car companies, because they cannot step up to the plate on their own. They need some type of government bailout. This is because this money we're talking about, batteries, 100% hits the bottom line margins for the car companies. In other words, the battery may be costing them way more money, and they're going to get, I think it's $35 a kilowatt hour plus $10 a kilowatt hour for the module. So it's $45, effectively $45 a kilowatt hour, which is, you know, when it costs you maybe Tesla debate if it's under 100 or maybe it's 140. You know, somewhere under 150 bucks kilowatt is what it costs to build a battery nowadays, so somewhere in that ballpark. So you're going to get possibly a third of that money back from the government. As I said, I think it's just yet another subsidy for the legacy car company. They're not going to be able to compete on them their own. They're not, their margins, they're going to be able maybe to build a few cars, but they're not going to make no money on them unless they get these subsidies. So that's why I think I'm very concerned that Tesla isn't going to qualify.
Yeah, if that is indeed true. Well, the only thing I would say here that we should remind ourselves as a positive for Tesla is Elon has negotiated a lot of rights to the raw materials necessary to build the batteries. I know Stephen Mark Ryan on Solving the Money Problem has said, you know, Elon's probably going to mine his own lithium. He doesn't like problems. He just goes and fixes them. He'll do what it takes to get the raw materials. You know, when he couldn't haul enough cars around, he went and built car haulers. Yep. So he's not gonna, and I think these other companies are late to the game on negotiating mining rights for the raw materials, and I don't think the bill can address that, or does address that. We might have lost the end of that segment due to the camera getting hot. I've switched back to 1080p. All I was saying is, you know, Elon, to sum it up, will go mine his own lithium if that's what it takes. Was negotiating the raw materials well before these other car companies cared too much. And if anybody's going to win the raw materials game, it's another one of those cases where Elon and Tesla are several steps ahead of everyone else. And I would hate to see them go into this, well, we're going to build this infrastructure to build batteries, and then them sit idle because they haven't secured the other end of the operation in supplying the raw materials. So I don't know. That's another story we'll be watching for several years now to see how that goes. I heard, I think it was Stephen Mark Ryan last couple days talk about a 25K car again, and again, that's a great goal to help out segment of Americans that need the help of a wonderful, reliable, you know, vehicle. But we got to have enough batteries to do that. And I might add that putting a Tesla Semi on the road, if you believe that CO2 is a problem and you're trying to reduce that, putting a Tesla Semi on the road is more helpful in reducing emissions than putting a 25K car or 10 25K cars on the road. Just the sheer number of miles traveled, et cetera, and the fact that the trucks are diesel. And, you know, I can really see why what all seems good on paper, but it's not, the 25K car's just not happening right now. Constraint and biggest bang for the buck.
Yeah, well, in his video yesterday, Rob talked about that Semi. That was the area in which he was very concerned that this, that Tesla will be put at a competitive disadvantage because they don't sell their batteries or buy them, that they produce them themselves, and it was specifically for the Semi. He said if they sell the Semi to somebody else, like they build a Semi for Frito-Lay, that's great. But if they want to use the Semi themselves for delivering, you know, cars, that is not going to qualify as an external sale or to a customer. Tesla can't be a customer of Tesla. So that's one of the areas he said that it really could affect things. But I think in that case, Elon is probably just going to say, well, we're going to use our trucks.
Yeah, I think I've worked up my blood pressure this morning. We need to stop talking about the Inflation Reduction Bill and union jobs, and yeah, I need to calm back down. I'm not relaxing on my walk this morning. That's particularly good, well lit, lots of flowers left on the kudzu. You can see the little seed pods coming out too. I thought some of you that might have not ever seen it up close and personal would appreciate seeing it. I talked about all the petals being on the ground yesterday or the day before. It looked like a wedding. There's some here, but yeah, I thought you might like to see it. We would like to see less kudzu. Obviously, that was a road, a U.S. highway erosion conservation program gone awry. That's what that was. They thought it was like grew so well it would really keep the dirt from eroding, and it would help along the sides of the U.S. highways, and the next thing we know, it's tried to take over native vegetation on local area trails and forests and walkways. And yeah, they scare me to death when they talk about releasing some sort of a bug to go kill other bugs. I'm like, no, just don't. Please, just don't make it worse. with your science that you can't 100% understand what it's going to do in the real world. Just please, please don't. Well, our dew point is a 60, 70 today, but they're promising us dew points in the 50s, I think, if not tomorrow, Friday. Chicago's already got a dew point of 54. We like the way that sounds. The map I saw didn't show Florida, but we'll just assume they're leading the pack on dew point, which equates to humidity and stickiness. Hi, Mr. Ant. Don't bite me. I've got about 50 minutes, nighttime. I've got about 50 minutes before I leave to go get Johnny. And I'd like to build 40203. So I'm gonna start pulling parts for it. It's probably like 150 parts or less. I think I have all the parts, but you know, it's a lot of bins to pull out to pull the parts. So anyway, I'd like to build that, and I'm going to start pulling parts, and I get as far as I get. That's the parts list, and I could either go pull the parts as I do each step, or I could just go work on pulling the parts. And I think in this case, it'll take less time and be less lifting for me if I pull the parts all in one full swoop and then put it together. I guess I got about 3/4 done with pulling the parts. I knew it was going to take a while. It'll take me longer to pull the parts than it will to put it together. I did find one place online used, previously built, pulled back apart for $12, included shipping. That wasn't too bad, but you know, I'm basically only going to be able to build it for $2 or $3 pulling the parts myself. So it's worth the hour to pull the parts for sure. It looks like I might be one part that I don't have in the right shape and or color. We'll see though. I'm not done looking yet. It's one of the black slope parts. I probably have it in white. Maybe that'll look okay. I don't know where it goes yet, so I'll have to see where it goes yet. Yeah, anyway, I was having fun. I left a little late. I'm not going to get downtown until 12:10. That wasn't on purpose, obviously. I just don't stop well in the middle of things. I'm one of those people. My motto is sort of, why leave for tomorrow what you can possibly wear yourself out completing today. That's just kind of how I operate. And sometimes it's a blessing, you know, when you need somebody to get something done, you throw it my way. And sometimes it's a curse when you want me to stop and change gears or enjoy something over multiple days. And you know, so you know, it could be a good trait and a bad trait. I recognize that. Most of the time in my work career though, and even homemaking career, it's mostly a good trait. I just might wear you out right along with me if you're along for the project. Ruby says it's 87. It's plenty warm. Sky's pretty. It's been an uneventful ride into downtown, thank goodness. An ambulance went up this way a minute ago, and then this unmarked police car, he went by me. I mean, he was flying. He come up behind me. I see him coming, but still, whew. And I stopped at the pedestrian crosswalk by the bus station, and the car behind me was not paying attention. And I gave him a couple extra feet because I was watching them. But still, that was kind of scary. And then the person come up beside me. That was the unmarked car. The person come up beside me and gave me a death stare because I stopped for pedestrians. I just love people sometimes. I'm sorry that she was caught off guard, that I slowed up. I did not slam on the brakes, but I slowed up. And you know, she wasn't paying attention. You could tell because the car, you know, had that little movement when it stopped, like she had to really put her foot in it. And like I said, I actually went up a couple more feet because sort of the pedestrian was a little worried because I had made eye contact with him to let him know I was stopping. But anyway, people, please don't drive through the pedestrian crosswalks like, you know, you just don't care about anybody but yourself. So they're paving out in front of SAU, and you have to circle the entire university to get back around to go in the main entrance. I am nonplussed right now. That's the kind of thing you do maybe over the summer when there's less people coming on campus. Don't know. I'm just mostly frustrated because I'm a few minutes late anyway, and I told Johnny what time I'd be coming onto campus, and now I'm going to be even later. Yeah, so it's about a 4 or 5 minute detour to go all the way around, because I'm like, you know, part of the way now. I told Johnny, I sent him a message that I suspect they're gonna have to have the kids picked up at the football stadium this afternoon. State Street, that would be much better. If they would just move it over there if they can. All that really takes is a short walk and having somebody with a key to unlock the gate. Yeah, and just to say, there's no detour signs up and no instructions for where to go, so it's really helpful that Ruby has drawn the square. I think I've circled the school one time before maybe, but there's a couple of little side streets. If you don't know where you're going, you could turn down and then have to back up because it's a dead end or it's not the right spot. So probably a little more help would have been good for some. Yeah, 1-lane road again. I think it's going to be really messy going in here with Ruby too. Well, I'm stuck now. I mean, it's sort of what I got to do. Wow, the guy there told me I had to turn left 1-lane road. I'm not allowed in that direction. I'm like, how am I supposed to get on campus? He said, well, go down this way, make a right, try to come up to the other flagman and see if he can direct you. This was not well thought out, apparently. Like I said, it's summertime, guys, when there's less people on campus. And I sort of can see where I'm going over here. I'm not going to say I don't know where I'm at all, but I don't know where I'm at too good. What in the world? Well, I'd rather drive over this than drive over actual asphalt, but that guy's scraping it up and creating all a bunch of dust. I guess it's a good thing Don didn't watch Ruby yesterday. What a disaster. Well, we had a good time hanging out at the house, cutting up and giving the kitties attention, and Sam's had his hair cut now, and before I take him home, we're gonna walk around in the air conditioning at Guardian Angel and just relax a bit.
Well, you don't want to just stand out here in the sun for 5 hours?
No, I probably don't want to stand out here in the sun.
All right, that's fair.
Always a bit of humor in the framing department. Life is a beach, watch out for the crabs. Sam, Michelle, and Michelle, but don't tell her because I'm saving it for her birthday. That was fun. I had to buy a new value card today. You pay $25 for it, but you get 7 $5 punches. You can use 1 per visit. So basically, it's like getting $10 of free merchandise. And it's good for a year. Not that I've ever had one last that long. Like I said, you can use it once a day. And it works at Apex or Fuquay, so you do the math. Try to buy one when I need one on a day where I don't buy too much. Which I didn't buy too much for me today, but I got plenty of stuff for Michelle. It's amazing how much damage I can do in like 5 minutes. Poor Ruby needs a bath. Don't look. Don's just working hard. Now I have a Century report. I think that it just did it. I think it was Century. So when I opened up the trunk, this piece fell on the floor, and that's where it's from. I have to say that was that double-sided sticky tape. The sticky tape was holding it on and the tape released. So there's not a clip there. That should be an easy fix to put it back up. The screws actually go in a little recessed area. I think I can probably stick it back up there and not damage it. It's just some double-sided sticky tape stopped holding. I was able to put it back up there just to make sure the screws don't do any damage. I think, Don can have that fixed in a couple minutes. I'm just looking. Yeah, it's fitting just like it is on that side. We should be good. Just be careful when we reopen. I don't know if it's because that thing hit funny. I don't think it is though. So what hit? Well, I'm caught in afternoon traffic. I've got 11 miles to go to the house and it says it's going to take me 27 minutes to get there. This is 401 across, approaching 1010 road. And it's way the heck backed up. Way the heck backed up. I wonder if I should have got off on Lake Wheeler. I wasn't paying attention to where Ruby told me to go. So if she told me to try that, I missed it. But I don't see how that would be any better this time of day. But I got Sam dropped off. We had a good time in Guardian Angel. And I'm pretty tired. You guys knew I was going to finish the vampire, right? Yeah, I had to finish the vampire. He turned out way cool.